United States Weather Summary, Sunday, 2nd of November 2025. Good morning, everyone. Here's your national weather overview, tailored for aviation and meteorological professionals. We'll walk through major regions and highlight the driving mechanisms with an eye on how big scale and regional geography and climate feed in. Gulf Coast and Florida, including Key Point, Miami. From the Gulf of Mexico into Florida, the region remains under the influence of a decaying upper low that is rotating eastward across the southern Appalachians, while at the surface a weak low develops off the southeast U.S. coast and drags a weak cold front through the peninsula early Monday. Over southern Florida, for example around Miami, the prospect for measurable rainfall is very low tonight and Monday, with isolated showers possible mainly on the Treasure Coast. Behind the front, a cooler and drier north to northeast flow sets up with inland relative humidity dropping to the 35 to 40% range and a modest fall in temperature in the northern sections, while southern zones stay in the 80s. Marine concerns will emerge as seas build due to tightening pressure gradient and onshore NE winds, especially offshore where 7 to 8 foot seas are possible Monday night and Tuesday. For pilots, expect VFR across central Florida airports with only isolated showers near the coast, but plan for increasing northerly winds and somewhat rougher sea state if operating in marine zones. Mechanically, the upper trough still imparting ascent is weakening as it moves east and fills. Convergence ahead of the surface low in front is weak, which limits precipitation coverage. The drying behind the front is classic post-frontal advection with the continental air mass pushing in from the north. Florida's maritime influence moderates temperatures but does little to support widespread convection given the weak forcing. East Coast plains, notably New York/Mid-Atlantic. In the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast, high pressure is building in across the region, with an approaching trough and weak low pressure developing offshore Sunday night. That offshore low will bring increasing clouds and a chance of light rain or drizzle, especially along east of the 95 Sunday night into Monday morning. Gusty northwest winds will be present Monday night into Tuesday behind the low. Aviation operations around New York should consider the cloud increase and spotty shower risk, but overall conditions are expected to remain VFR. The greater threat lies in the overnight scenario. Clear skies away from the coast may allow radiational cooling and frost in some inland valleys. Here the mechanism. A weakening trough and offshore low provide limited moisture plume that expands northward, but the dominant pattern is high pressure and cool advection. Geography plays its part. The coastal plain and Piedmont allow shallow marine layer and low-level clouds, while the Appalachian ridges can either block or channel the shallow moisture. The large-scale ridging suppresses deep ascent and keeps any rainfall light and scattered. Ohio Valley and Central Plains, including Chicago. Moving into the Ohio Valley around Chicago and westward into the Central Plains, a low-pressure system over southwest Middle Tennessee is beginning to drift southeast, producing tapering rain across the region. After passage, high pressure will build in, promoting widespread dry conditions through midweek. Overnight tonight, expect significant fog and stratus potential, particularly in low-lying areas and river valleys. Some sites could drop to IFR/LIFR for early Monday operations. At Chicago, anticipate improving conditions later today, but plan for possible dense fog early in the morning hours. In terms of dynamics, the southeastward moving low has provided the lifting and moisture for rainfall. Once it departs, the ascent drops off and high-pressure subsidence dominates. The boundary layer remains saturated and weak. Mixing in the overnight hours allows near-surface fog to form. The terrain of the Ohio Valley with its mixed topography aids pooling of cool, moist air and promotes valley fog formation. Central Rockies and Denver. In the mountain west around Denver, the region remains under a cooler air mass and zonal to weak trough flow. Conditions are dry with no major fronts and little convective activity. Aviation operations can expect benign conditions, but remain aware of local mountain wave or turbulence in lee flows, especially as zonal winds strengthen aloft. The Rockies' higher terrain suppresses widespread moisture advection and convective growth, leaving a quiet weather regime. Broadly, the absence of a strong synoptic forcing mechanism results in quiet weather. The upstream trough over the west coast is beginning to build, but for now the Colorado region is buffered by high terrain and stable air aloft. Pacific Northwest and West Coast, Los Angeles/San Francisco. On the West Coast, the pattern is transitioning. A trough is digging into the eastern Pacific and ridge building over the interior west. Near Los Angeles and San Francisco, the offshore ridge and dry air dominate. Expect light winds, good visibility, VFR conditions, and minimal precipitation risk. Marine layer may form near the coast overnight, especially near the Bay Area, with low ceilings possible early Monday. For aviation, coastal operations should monitor marine layer onset and potential low-level wind shear near the surface inversion. Mechanistically, this region is under the influence of a building Pacific ridge that limits moisture transport inland, reduces synoptic support for upward motion, and maintains stable stratification. The geography, cool ocean waters off the California coast, the coastal range, and the broad Pacific high, works together to reinforce the dry, stable regime. Southeast, Atlanta and surrounding. In the southeast, including Atlanta, the same upper low and associated mid-level trough that influence Florida are in play. Rain is tapering off this afternoon across western Tennessee and moving southeast. Atlanta will see decreasing precipitation chances, but overnight and into early Monday, areas of dense fog and lingering low clouds are possible as high pressure builds in. Aviation concerns include lower ceilings and visibility during the pre-dawn hours. During the day, Monday, expect dry, cool air filtering in with highs in the upper 50s to lower 60s, about 5 degrees below normal. Hear the mechanism. After the frontal passage and the departure of the low radiational cooling under nocturnal high pressure, sets up saturation near the surface. The terrain, with surrounding higher elevations, may trap cooler air and promote fog. The Gulf of Mexico remains distant, limiting deep moisture return and convective potential. Summary remarks for pilots and forecasters. Across the nation today, we have a theme of transition. Upper-level troughing and offshore lows in the east and southeast moving away, leaving high pressure and drier air in their wake. On the west coast, a building ridge maintains dry, stable conditions. The central portions of the country are settling into a high-pressure regime following recent storm activity. For aviation operations, this means fewer active frontal systems and convective threats, but greater emphasis on fog turbulence with high-pressure build-in as well as marine and coastal wind/sea state concerns along the Gulf and Florida coasts. Terrain and regional climatology continue to play important roles. Coastal stratus/marine layers on the west, valley fogs in the Ohio and Tennessee basins, and moisture starvation in the interior plains and Rockies. While precipitation is limited in most areas, it is the non-convective hazards, fog, low ceilings, wind shear near fronts, seas, and coastal wind that merit attention.